I don't get the controls. Okay, so LinkedIn is cut off, the original event. Yeah, and that's the reality now. It's
that seems like a problem.
Denis is not there. He's phone calling. So we are online. We are live somewhere. I think. I don't even understand if we are still online on Substack, because I can't see us there. Let me quickly check. Frustrating moment.
I have restarted. How would you say? Refreshed this window for me. And I'm seeing that we're live. Is that correct?
I see a recording of us. Wait a second. Past. View draft. I can't see our old stream on Substack. Can't find it.
We're live on YouTube. YouTube works. We're live on YouTube.
YouTube works. LinkedIn, yes. Only my profile. Everything else is cut off.
Okay. It happens.
Good. Then
Bryan, still with us?
Yep.
Good. I just had a phone call. Sorry, one of the kiddos is sick, and I just got enough info to know whether it's urgent or not urgent, or good or bad. So
okay, and Substack is off as well, so I hope it's getting better.
Well, yeah, I don't think Substack can be restarted easily.
No, it's not. It's not possible.
Yeah.
So sorry for everyone who's listening to that right now. Still, that was a nuke on the channel while we were streaming. I can't even remember what I was saying. Anyway, I don't know.
While you're sorting that out, I have a CD pipeline I tested last week.
Okay.
I have a pipeline for generating presentations. And it normally takes me a good 2 to 4 weeks to put a 30-minute talk together that I'm happy with. And I use my pipeline to do it in 3 evenings after work. And it was a very successful talk with
What did it enable you to do that you otherwise wouldn't?
Basically assemble my thoughts. And so I've got a repository that has all of my previous writing in it. And I told it what the topic of the talk was and how long the talk needed to be. The topics we really wanted to cover. I have narrative agents and stuff like that. I'm using Anthropic's PowerPoint skill.
Mm-hmm.
I told it, and it threw out an outline that was 70%ish.
When you say you have agents, what we're talking about is that you're loading up a local context to protect it from the other thinking that's going on, just to express one skill.
I just have agents that run skills to do review over things and give feedback on suggestions. But it's like, basically, because I can be really scatterbrained when I'm trying to assemble a bunch of stuff, and it's really hard for me sometimes to edit things down because there's so much. There's just so much, and it's all interconnected. And I try to get a point across, and so I need editors a lot of the time. My wife sometimes helps with being an editor, I was able to throw a deck together in a few evenings. And also stuff like, okay, well, I kind of need an image like this to represent this thought. I need an image to represent the thought on this page, and it would generate a prompt, and I would go and have Gemini throw an image together.
Mm-hmm.
Or I had a user experience skill that would go and review things and improve the deck layout so it was prettier. Stuff like that. I had a just kind of a rough diagram of the different kinds of delivery that you can do with agents, everything from autocomplete to vibe coding to, agentic development, where the agents are doing most of the work.
Like the different human interaction points, right? Like we're seeing different nuances, different modalities of the human to AI interface. Like one of
I didn't come up with the original chart, but the original chart was pretty rough, and it kind of was jarring with the rest of the user experience deck. And so I said, hey, go look at this image of this chart and create a prettier one. And then I took the prettier one and dropped it in, things like that would have taken me a long time, or I just would have just tolerated the old bad thing.
Adrian, do you want to continue with those 20 questions that you had prepared?
I can. So I was just fixing the rest of the stream, so we are, I think, alive again a little bit, at least on 2 channels. Sorry for that, for everyone who's listening. Anyway,
it happens.
Okay, then another question. I put it on screen so you can read it, or I will read it out loud anyway. So should agent-generated changes be blocked unless the repo can be cloned, built, tested, and iterated without human intervention, preferred or not?
Everything can be blocked unless it can be built, tested, and deployed without human intervention. It doesn't matter if it's made that code change or not. If you have to intervene on a code change after it's made somewhere downstream of version control, you're doing it wrong. That artifact is dead.
Denis, how do you see this? Is that something when you see companies are still doing it like that, or is it something you have never heard of?
I'll tell you, I'm sure the companies are still doing it that way.
They are. I mean, like I would.
I can't.
So I'm a facilitator in this usually, right? So I'm helping the team figure this out for themselves. And what I'm leaning towards is that if there's a review bottleneck or a deployment bottleneck, then using an AI to speed up the production, the input, and translating it into code, and then just bombarding the human reviewer more is an anti-goal. Like, we don't want that. So
that's terrible.
If what you're solving is productivity, then the reviews need to be of higher quality and happen faster than human review. Or at least AI augmented human review should be faster than AI augmented code production. Like, that's I don't care if it clones or builds and tests or without or with human intervention. I just want the AI assisted code review to be faster than the AI assisted code production.
Dave Farley has a really good video he did a few weeks ago talking about signal processing analysis.
I watched that. So he called it so the frequency of our quality gates needs to match the input frequency, like the frequency of the signal.
Double the signal.
Oh, double. Yes, it needs to be higher. Yes.
At least double. Based off of signal analysis.
Yes, that's from entropy and information theory, right? Like that's Little's law and the Lorentz equations, I believe.
It was actually I forget the name. I'm not a signal processor.
It's year 1 CS, I believe, and electrical engineering.
Yeah, it's stuff. But no, that's true. And the other thing is, I 100% agree that if you've got a whole bunch of manual review process downstream, speeding up coding is the wrong thing to do. You should be applying AI on how do we remove the review downstream. So harden your code review process. Sure, if you're doing code review, back in the day, we would code review for tabs versus spaces, or using 4 versus 8 or versus 2 spaces for indentation and spell check on things. And I don't like where you put the braces on the if condition, right? Yeah. And then we started getting tools that did those things. So what we reviewed for started shrinking, right?
And then the tools that reviewed could also fix it automatically. There was a huge step up from manual, linter, because a lot of languages didn't have LSPs, right? So, and back then, if you're coming from the web, it was possible to have multiple artifacts, so HTML and JavaScript mixed together in the same document, and that was impossible to lint because the rules have changed, and that required human supervision to figure out, okay, which escape sequence do I now need to use to put a CSS comment in a JavaScript that is inside an XHTML block and it's being built inside PHP. And like the LSP space got a lot more simpler just because of how good our tooling became. But the fixing came a lot later than just the linting. Like the dash fix on a linter, that was the real productivity increase, because everything else was just more signal to the human that there's something wrong. And
but even the linting by itself was a productivity increase because you didn't bottleneck that change through reviewers. You could find it on your desktop, right? Agreed.
Yes.
And then the reviewer will just have to run the lint to make sure it passed lint, right?
Yes. And then we got editor config. Right, so we solved the linting issue on different devices, and then people, but my VS Code does it automatically differently, and then we got editor config. Then it sort of connected the feedback loop. But it's weird that we got the editor config last, because that prevents the issues the most, right? So like if you look at it, it seems surprising that the technology evolved seemingly backwards from the root cause of the production of the issue.
Yeah, I think it just kind of becomes from what's going to break the code versus the first versus what's my opinion.
Yeah,
I think it probably went in that order, but it's the same thing, right? It's like we start applying better tools as better tools happen, and we reduce how much we have to review for until, what are we reviewing? We're reviewing that the review's happening incorrectly.
So to comment on, who was it? Alex? No, was it Ryan? Ryan asked, hey, $25 code review from Claude.
Yeah.
I think, like linking it with the linter example, I think the value would really be just review it and then having there be an auto fix on the review. Like that would be valuable. That would be worth $25 if it then passed subsequent review. Because the real danger with auto fixing is that back in the day it was possible for linters to fix linting issues, and the next iteration didn't actually fix the linting issue. That there was some like weird quirk where it will just loop on itself and it'll just block indefinitely and still require a human. So
yeah, I'd be curious, what they have that's better than what other people can come up with.
Mm-hmm. You mean compared to CodeRabbit and similar tools, or are you thinking like homegrown, like bespoke review agents?
I mean, like setting up like the stuff that I've been building and that I'm using.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious what they're doing that would be better than that.
Do you think it's worth sharing them?
I'm sorry?
Because it feels like every organization, every company is sort of building their own. Like, do you see like a singularity event where we just end up using the same ones, or is it just like a too fragmented space?
How many engines exist to run JavaScript on server side?
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, what's going to happen is people will find stuff that they agree with, and they'll use that. Is it worth $25? Is it? So I wouldn't say on. It could very well be worth $25 on critical things running in the pipeline as a final check to block the pipeline.
Yeah, as a smoke test. As
Maybe.
Like yeah.
I would again. I'd like to see what they're reviewing for. I want to see.
That's super late in the pipeline, and that's maybe too far away from the quality process, and well, it
can be far away from the quality process. I mean, it is part of the quality process, but $25. I don't want it running on every micro change I'm making.
Agreed.
That's.
But you're already trying to solve the economic mismatch, right? Like the per unit.
The $25 has to be a lower cost than the amount of time I would spend doing a thing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that's the break point.
Yeah.
I think that most companies have never really took a look what a PR is actually costing them or not. I've never heard of that anyone is telling me a PR costs that amount of money for us. Because first of all, not every PR is the same. If you just push a headline change, right? That's not even worth reviewing. And there are other changes where people worth 4-5 weeks of work of 5 developers putting into production PR, right? That's a different thing. And I don't even know if the AI is actually capable of getting everything there. So I'm not sure if that is actually a thing that only the AI can make code reviews, because code reviews, the actual idea is to get feedback for the developing people, right? And not necessarily to fix something straight away, because that should have happened before the review process that will fix these kind of issues with cloud code, in my opinion. So it's not necessarily the right spot to actually say that is something where I should fix things or something like that.
And it's also a cadence mismatch. Code Scene has something similar, for example, and Kodana has, you push a pull request, it gives you a review, and then the pull request might be 7 commits, right? And then it gives you 1 review on the 7 commits as if it's this whole thing. And if you push 2 more commits to make it go from 7 to 9, you get a review every push on the PR. But
here's your break, right? So because I just did some quick back of the napkin math, right? If you assume a developer is $100,000 a year on average, it's actually higher than that, but let's just assume $100,000 for argument's sake, because it's a nice round number. It's a half hour of that developer's time. So if it takes less than half hour for a person to do it, it's not worth it. If it takes more than half hour, it is worth it.
But that's a category error, Bryan, because what do we do with the review? It doesn't replace the full process. It's just that it produces a document for the human reviewer or for the author. You're just looking at it from the perspective of the reviewer, but the saving is actually coming from the delay that the author is experiencing.
So the author doesn't need to dig in him or herself. It is
the author doesn't need to wait for the reviewer to be free. That's the value benefit. So in an environment where you wait a very long time for the reviewer, there is a different economy going on.
I promise you, if you're working in an environment with async code review, that 0% of developers are waiting around for the code to be reviewed before they go to the next thing.
Agreed, but isn't that what they're targeting? Isn't that what they're trying to wouldn't that be a net positive behavior change if it actually got people to act on review immediately instead of starting a second piece of operation before they get the review?
Sure, but again, I'd like to know what they're doing better than what I'm doing.
Fair. Definitely not continuous integration.
That only costs me tokens, and yes. I can run, on every change.
Because the thing is, I just checked out one of my teams. They did 200 commits today. Trunk based, 0 PRs. How am I benefiting from this product? Like each commit?
You
That's
can't.
crazy.
You actually, everyone who is committing a change and think that change is a little bit larger should do it just by, when they use AI, in the moment they commit, just make a rough review of what the changes. Because if you cannot really overview the changes, in my opinion, an engineer shouldn't be like needing the review for small batches every time. So you don't need to discuss every little change, in my opinion. It is more the summation. It is more like, do we make the change? So I think the best reviews are the reviews of the concepts before you implement them. Shall we do it this way? And then you execute it this way, maybe with 4 pair of eyes, and that's it.
You mean for a vibe coder, for somebody who is a non-engineer to get a quasi-synthetic version of an immediate review from somebody who is more competent?
Yeah, this is how I use it for me personally. So I just want to have a second pair of eyes taking a look what I've done there based on the constraints of the context files, which are there for, let's say, how we do translations, how we do design, how we do architecture. So a little bit like tidying up. So don't use any deprecated functionalities, make those kind of little things, right? And that helps me personally. It filters out actually quite a lot, to be honest. That is helpful, but I don't see the need that other human needs now to take a look if the stuff I have changed, like 20 lines of code, is really like worth making a discussion out of that, not in our context.
Yeah.
There might be contexts where this is absolutely necessary, I agree, not in my context of a startup. It is not. And so I wouldn't pay anything for that, because the token spent for a change is more below $1 right now. That's more how in reality is. So I don't see the $25. I think they came up with the $25 in the assumption that it is roughly multiple days of work accumulated with a lot of changes, a lot of architecture changes, these kind of things. Maybe it starts to make sense, but I don't like this process at all. So it doesn't really apply for us, right? So we think in small batches. Right?
Yeah.
I think small batches is already solving that issue. You don't. If you have small batches, you don't need $25 to think about $25 per PR.
Yes, what I'm hearing is that it's just a cadence mismatch with how continuous delivery teams would work naturally.
Yeah, but you bring up a good point. They're 1 second. They're optimizing for the average group of people.
I can't hear you. It's a little bit cut off.
I'm sorry. They're optimizing for teams and companies that don't know how to develop software, because that's the majority of the world.
Yeah, that would, and in that context, it will make sense. But it's still not sensible engineering practice. Like, it won't help the team improve their culture. It'll just be a band-aid.
Yep.
So, in a sense, this feels like low-code, Kool-Aid for people who said, we have IT problems, but we don't want to hire engineers. This feels more oriented towards that kind of value proposition rather than a extremely useful tool used by engineers built for engineers.
So I would say we move on with the next topic, because the stream wasn't about Cloud Code new little feature they try to upsell for Cloud Code users.
Yeah.
For those guys, it's probably very well for the ZMF thing. You need definitely $25 per review there. You should edit, in my opinion.
It should be. The $25 review should be part of your release train.
Yeah, it must be. It's mandatory. It's absolutely mandatory.
You pay $25. It's kind of like the fast pass at Disney. So you pay $25, and to the person doing to the code review group, and they prioritize your review first.
Makes sense. It wouldn't even laugh like that. Yeah, some organizations work like that.
Wait for 2 years, and then you need to pay for prioritization Cloud Code anyway.
Aren't we already doing that?
I think so, because the API which I'm using is always fast, while everyone else is saying, I have limits, it's so slow, it's never.
Like this week we had a cloud outage that only affected people on the free plan. right? So it is happening.
So because of that, I get now with the next question for you is, should token costs become a first-class engineering concern in platform and architecture decisions?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I worry about that all the time. So, one of the things that is both exciting and really, really irritating is that now management actually cares how clean code is.
Mm-hmm. Which is ironic. It feels so backwards, right? That we arrived here through this of all places.
Well, but it kind of also makes sense because salary is a fixed cost, and there's a lot of stuff that happens that's hidden under the salary cost bucket.
Yeah.
Right. Where tokens are like cloud spend, and that's not a fixed cost necessarily. Depends on what the structure is. But also, I've been telling teams where I work that knowing which tools the cloud AI platform is most familiar with is. It's no longer which tool I think is cool or which tool I've used before that I really like. It's which tool does the AI know is an architectural decision that you have to take into account.
Yeah.
Because the less it knows, the less accurate it's going to be, and the more it's going to cost to use it.
Yeah. Or if it doesn't use it efficiently. So if it doesn't compress its outputs, or if it doesn't curtail its usement of it, and it just starts, eating in 200,000 tokens worth of input to figure out that oops, I sent the wrong command and it gave me the manual page. Are we now making the assumption that the majority of AI usage in agentic CD practices will be cloud AIs? What about people running their own infra?
No, I mean, I'm not making that assumption. But I think if you are trying to do a lot of heavy development work, I'm not aware, and I'm going to be looking for it, because it's like anything else. If I can run it cheaper than I can buy it, I'd rather run it.
To echo on the operational cost versus fixed cost.
Yeah.
If I can buy hardware, can I convert it to? Could we convert cloud into a fixed cost? I mean, minus cooling and electricity.
Yeah, I mean, I need something that's on par with what I have now, and see, that's kind of like that's the crack issue, right? It's like, man, I've got really good drugs now, and if I go backward, then I'm just going to be frustrated all the time because I know it's really good drugs.
Bryan has a comment for us. Ryan says, I'm very scared of how AI usage metrics are going to be misused in performance evaluation and how they will drive weird behavior. Are you seeing anything?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Ryan said, I'm very scared of how AI usage metrics are going to be misused in performance evaluation and how that will drive weird behavior. So same thing, I am seeing proxies for a line of code. It's like, hey, you used 0 tokens this month. Are you using AI enough? Are you leaving productivity on the table? I see those discussions come up in high-level management discussions in almost every team that I'm coaching.
There was this ad from the NVIDIA boss, isn't it? If you earn 200,000 or something like that, you need to at least spend 500,000 on.
I don't want to get into that rabbit hole. But
no,
I see
Ryan's right. Ryan and I used to work in the same area, right? And we've seen all sorts of good and bad uses of metrics over the years. I had that conversation earlier today with somebody else where they have consultants coming in to go and educate their teams on AI, and guess what they're using to talk about how well AI is being adopted in that organization? Just guess what could be the worst possible thing that you could think of, other than how many tokens they spend?
Lines of code?
Nearly. Pull requests.
Oh, number of pull requests opened. Yeah.
Pull request frequency.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, look, I also look at pull request frequency, but I'm looking at it from the question of, is it 0? Right.
So I'm looking at a code integration frequency,
Yes.
whether it's pull requests or, that's one of the core metrics I'll look at, but not by itself.
Because I'm looking for proxies for, is somebody unable to merge stuff to production?
I'm looking for proxies for high quality small batches.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for, is high quality small batches.
Yeah.
And, because I'm looking for feedback loops. And so how do I measure for feedback loops? And pull requests is not how you measure for feedback loops. That's how you just, if you're not focusing on your quality process, it's the same thing. It's the exact same thing as trying to measure continuous delivery by deploy frequency.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I can up that easily. As long
Any
as
isolated metric will be a problem.
Yeah.
Shall we a little bit talk about the new migration path? Because I think that was the original topic, and we have maybe a little bit of Agentic CD today, but not yet the really. So you were adding like I don't know, Denis, could you try to share it?
Sure.
I don't know if we lose Bryan, then we need to stop sharing, but we will find out.
It's worth one test.
But I would say that there's two different migration paths that kind of work in parallel together that I think people should really look at.
The problem is I now have so many tabs open that I will find it very difficult to keep up. But this is the... Okay. Wait. Oh. It works. Okay.
It works.
It works.
No blame for Restream for that one.
It's cut off though.
Yeah, you need to adjust the window a little bit that it fits.
Okay. Like I need to get the ratio right.
Exactly. Now we're talking about the AC/DC workflow.
Are we getting there? This works.
That works. It looks good, actually.
This is now the entire screen. So Bryan, you did 2 new updates. So you came to us a few weeks ago for feedback. It's like, hey, I'm making some changes. Can you give me some feedback? And Adrian and I responded with, oh, I didn't know you're open to feedback. we were just using it and then sort of filling the blanks.
Weird. Number one, it's a community project. I've done a lot of work on it personally recently because other contributors just had other things going on, right? But it's a community. It's an open source project. Submit a pull request.
So you added some new top level distinctions for minimum CD, for Agentic CD. So now we got beyond minimum CD org, so just beyond like the easy steps. Then we have the migration path, and now we have this whole segment for Agentic CD along with the migration path. It feels like the landscape got a lot more complicated. So how would somebody who is interested in Agentic CD, is Agentic CD like the advanced step above a CD migration? Echoing one of Adrian's earlier questions of,
you need to be competent at CD before you start trying to deliver code with agents, in my opinion.
Where's the trade-off?
It's the next. Where's the trade-off? I don't know. It depends on how much your customers enjoy chaos.
Because I see a lot of people who are not competent in CD rush to AI adoption.
Of course.
So clearly I assume, jump in and say, let's slow this one down until you're at least, you need to be this tall to ride the agent.
Learn to walk because... AI just, all it does is amplify, right? And so if I give you a huge stack of amplifiers and plug a guitar into it and you suck at playing guitar, you'll be really loud, right? But you'll suck really loud, right? It's the same thing. If you don't have a solid quality process, then you'll be shipping your crappy quality process faster. And I see it all the time. I see people complaining about how all they do is get slop code out of AI. I'm like, okay, yeah, right. And if I quiz them on it, I guarantee you they're not doing CD, because I've talked to enough people who've said that, and they haven't. They're using personal heroics to deliver code that doesn't just blow up in production instead of just quality process. And because they don't have a solid quality process, they just ship their weak quality process really fast. And oops, I can't do that. AI must be terrible. When you talk to people who have a solid quality process, they're like, yeah, we're just blowing through stuff and getting stuff done real quick. It's not even low drama. I mean, so reduce your drama and then deliver your low drama more quickly.
What about the overlap? Like, is there a workflow where AI is helping me learn and adopt CD?
Yeah, 100%. Use it to help you get to continuous delivery before you use it to deliver continuously.
Okay, I like that. But one more time, please.
Use it to help you get to continuous delivery before you use it to deliver continuously.
So use it to teach you before you use it to produce output, basically.
Yeah, so use it to help, use it to critically analyze the requirements coming in for gaps. Use it to look at what your test plan is, that you should be coming up with before you start coding.
Yeah.
How are we going to test this story, right? Use it to analyze that and look for gaps. Use it around your pipeline to see what gaps you can find in your pipeline and what changes you need to make there.
Bryan, but that sounds like you're now contradicting what you said earlier. So
no, don't use it for coding. Use it to harden your process.
No, but what I mean is that if we say that we should adopt AI to help us migrate to CD, doesn't AI adoption without the input levers, doesn't the AI adoption?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I can see how that sound like a contradiction. No, I'm saying that you shouldn't use agents to deliver software.
If you aren't delivering software continuously and your quality processes are early.
If you're not competent at the skills of CD.
Okay, good. But you can use AI and integrate AI into building that competence.
One of the big problems a lot of teams have for adopting continuous delivery is the amount of toil required to get all the quality gates put in place.
Yes.
And
to follow them.
Never feel like they have time to get it done. Management will give them time, whatever, right?
Yeah.
With agents, it becomes far less of a heavy lift. They can make these small changes really fast that snowball into bigger improvements over time. Right, and then when they feel confident in their quality process, start coding with it.
How? I was hoping we'd get to this chicken egg problem, because that sort of use agents to help you build up the pipeline. To me, if I squint, unfairly, it feels like you're saying we should adopt CD for review and architecture and deployment before we do it from code generation. So there's a sort of shift left mentality for AI adoption.
Yeah, I think code review is the last step I would go just before agents generating code.
But let's work with those two. You would definitely automate code review before automating code generation as a migration path.
Yeah, but I'd start at the right end of the pipeline and work left.
That's kind of what I was alluding to. Yes. So yeah. What about ticket generation, acceptance criteria refinement, turning conversations, logs, domain analysis, existing legacy code analysis into specs? What's your opinion on that? Because that feels upstream of the left.
Yeah, well, so make sure I'm clear that I'm not contradicting myself. I'm talking about with my quality gates, right? So I would start at the pre-production or even production, what quality gates are in place, and harden those going left, right? And then, yeah, absolutely. Tickets coming in, doing analysis on them, finding patterns, 100%. Looking at requirements coming in, doing critical review of that, perhaps rejecting them. Say, hey, there's gaps here. Would you go fill these gaps? If an agent can't figure it out, why expect me to?
Yeah.
Well, you've got institutional tribal knowledge. Well, let's pretend that I die and my replacement doesn't. No, go fix the requirements. Because now you're making assumptions about the assumptions I'm going to make. And that's just a really bad idea. And so, yes, use them for all those things. Use it, again, for operational review. Use it to capture information during your next incident. To do a transcript recording of your next, post incident, and then feed that into your postmortem process with summaries coming that agents can help generate to lighten the load of the postmortem process.
So you did invest a lot of effort into sort of categorizing some proxy for CD maturity. I got them on the screen here. So it's this coding guide. I know. I'm just gonna read them out. I'm aware that you can't see what we can see, but it's the scoring guide from beyond minimum CD, the migrate to CD, so the non-agentic one, and it's the 0 to 5, 6 to 12, 13 to 18, 19 to 22, 23 to 25 table with the starting point in the recommended phase. You've split them up into 5 categories. Basically from, hey, you lack foundations, to practices are cool, but there's gaps, foundations solid, gaps are part of that, the sticky, nasty bits, well practiced, and beyond average or like above average practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give us like some gut feel for where is the right time to start thinking about that AI shift left and code review to code AI automation? Is it sort of closer to the bottom, or is it middle out from foundations?
I mean, I'd use it during team meetings where you're discussing the how to start the next, the how to begin. Use it for brainstorming.
Mm-hmm.
You don't shy away from the tool. Just use it safely. Use it in a way that's going to least cause production impact while you learn how to make it useful for delivering things without production impact. You need that. So here's the thing: it takes a lot of practice to learn how to use these tools correctly. People generally start where I started, by telling it what to do. Like being very imperative. I need a function that does this. Write a function that does this. Mm-hmm. Right? I don't like how you structured that conditional. Use this other structure instead. And it's basically glorified autocomplete at that point, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have to learn how to tell it what you're trying to accomplish so that it can have the context to suggest better options of what you might think of.
Mm-hmm.
Because it has a lot more information at hand than you do as a human. It doesn't necessarily have the judgment you have, but it has better information than you have. And so if you explain the intent of your goal and, some constraints around, how you've achieved that goal the way you would like to, for the particular context you're in, it does a really good job of coming up with ideas. Mm-hmm. So use it for that at the beginning. Use it for ideas about how we can improve stuff, because it has all this information that you haven't read all the books. I haven't read all the books. No one's read all the books. But you can sort through them, compare them to the principles that mm-hmm. haven't changed, and just proceed that way. And then you'll get more comfortable with how to interact with AI to get the good outcomes from it. And while you safely start learning, right? So improve from right to left when it comes to quality gates. Use AI starting at the far left on, hey, what about this feature? Or how does this compare to what our competitors are doing? For product management.
That's an important aspect. I use it for myself. So planning phases are very often like, take a look up this one. I have an idea here. Can we do it like this? What is possible there? And I was usually doing that with LLMs outside of the IDE. Now I'm doing these kind of things inside the IDE, which is a new thing. And so software engineering and product management is getting closer together because you can do these things now. And another thing I wanted to just say is, in response to what you said, I see a lot of people complaining about AI in the sense of that it creates slop in the output, but no one is really saying that, oh, it was creating a bad planning document for me. I think that most people aren't actually planning with AI at all. They don't really know Shift-Tab in Cloud Code or something like that. Or for me, it is an absolute practice to stay in planning mode as long as possible. And execution is where I go make myself a coffee, something like that. And
I 100% agree. I spend a lot of time. So there's a lot of Spec Kitty is right now the one that I'm really focused on at the moment. But there's a lot of these basically frameworks people are throwing together to lead you down a golden path workflow of starting with a goal, breaking it down into acceptance criteria that make sense, that are testable, doing a lot of planning up front. And people, oh my God, it's waterfall. No, if I'm planning in small increments, it's not waterfall. It's just what you're supposed to do. For the love of God, stop jumping to the keyboard and coding. Have a goal. So throw the work really hard on the goal, and then we're very clear on what it should be doing.
Yeah.
We've collaborated together on what the tests should look like, because the tests are written in English, like all tests should be. Even test code, all the assertions. I mean, all of the it should English. Or if it's JUnit, write an English thing. That's as your method name. So we've collaborated on what the test should be in English. It generated test code. Cool. I don't have to worry about the test code. It wrote, exactly. I do all this pre-planning up front, and then I drink coffee, work on the next strategic thing I need to work on for planning the next strategic thing for other stuff while it's coding. And I can have 2 or 3 of those going at one time while I'm working on strategizing something else around, operational stability or whatever. And but you have to do the real work. We've been telling people this for decades, that you go faster when you slow down and plan a little bit. When you're doing continuous delivery, you don't just YOLO code out there. You've got, hey, here's the hypothesis we have for value that we're going to deliver with this next feature. What's the smallest piece of value we can deliver to test that hypothesis? How can we test that small piece is doing what we want it to do? All right, now go find out if we delivered the value.
But as a facilitator and a coach, I have to point out the other extreme also exists. There definitely exists teams that are just buried under committees, and their work short circuits on let's create another iteration of this plan, or let's create another iteration of this this document, or let's create another iteration. Let's get more people's opinions of it, and taking so long that it sort of misses.
You can't fix people who only think in large batches and product complete solutions.
Yes. So for that context, the advice is reasonable. Like don't overplan it. If the plan is a result of we do this and then we speculate that it'll go okay, and then we do that, and then we speculate that it'll go okay, and then we do that.
It's like it's ship fast.
Yes.
Well, ship fast if it's high quality.
Yeah.
It's you plan in small batches, because what's the goal? Adherence to plan? No, the goal is feedback on the value proposition we have.
Yeah.
Now, I'd like to rephrase what you just said, because I'm pretty picky on that one. You said high quality. I prefer to explain people ship when it's quality, because then they don't ask if it's high, low. quality is a definition. Most people don't define it. That's the problem. It's
Yeah,
not high or low. It's like they never define it, so they don't know if they reach it.
Ship fast when it's fit for purpose, because your goal is feedback on whether it's actually fit for purpose or not. And you're shipping fast, not to go fast. You're shipping fast to get faster feedback on smaller things that blow up less. That to get feedback on fit for purpose. Mm-hmm. That's the reason why we go quickly, is because we're trying to. That's the entire reason. Back when the ad, almost 30 years ago now, when the manifesto was written, the whole thing that they were doing was, delivering once a month, because that was amazing 30 years ago. It wasn't for me. I was delivering a lot faster than that, but delivering once a month, that was amazing years ago. And so that you get faster feedback instead of spending months and months and months on building up a whole backlog of, well, this is going to be awesome. And then we just waste all this time and money on the stuff that's just not an awesome idea in the first place. At the end of the day, the reason that we code is to implement an idea. And the reason we deliver is to go see if that idea was a good idea or not. Mm-hmm. But people have this blind spot when they define product goals, where they just assume it's a good idea. It might be. Even if it's exactly what the customer asked for, it only might be a good idea.
In your AI adoption plan, so the AI part, the Agentic CD part of the migration guide, you mentioned simplifying tasks first and making them deterministic before you even go weighing the risks of AI automation. Is that something you see as perhaps as a learning curve, or like a knowledge gap of like how to do that? Like, is everybody fit for simplifying processes? How do you see that happening naturally in teams that want to adopt AI?
I'd like to think that people can learn how. Hopefully they've got some people who know what good look like to point them in the right direction. I think it's a real struggle for a lot of organizations who don't know what good looks like, mm-hmm. and don't have people who are willing to step outside of what they've always done to explore what good looks like, if they can't hire people who know what good looks like. Mm-hmm. Right? That's really the problem, is that they think that what they've been doing is good because that's what they've been doing. And they, even if people are hurting, the people can hurt for so much for so long that they think the hurt is just part of the job.
Yeah. Just blind adherence to process without optimizing the process, or without simplifying steps. Because we saw this. Sorry, I just want to pull a parallel with the TDD community, where for the longest time, I was also a TDD coach, but then I stopped focusing on it because it just made no sense, because it just attracted the wrong people. Because it's really about continuous delivery and the correct safety gates. And one of the biggest issues that I was facing as a facilitator, as a coach, with engineers and leaders, was primarily this disconnect between, I'm here to evaluate how you build software, not how you write the code. Right? So a lot of people thought that it had something to do with design, but I need to see, hey, like, what's important to me is that if you step away from your computer for whatever reason and go to lunch for an hour, that what you built was committed. Like, that's the important aspect of it, so that we don't wait on the refactoring you did there on commit 7. Right. And a lot of people don't see that. It's like, wait, well, that's micromanagement. It's like, no, like that allows me to get hit by a truck,
continuity,
or go pick up my kids at daycare, and you can continue working on what I have finished, and you can use the test to see how far I got.
Yeah, this is the thing. The way I explain that is, stop bogarting your code. Yeah. That's the team's code, not your code, and you've got it sitting on your desk where nobody can see it, and they need it. And you're sitting there going, "Oh no, I gotta finish the full feature." No, you don't finish a feature. You finish the next passing test and push.
Yes. Most dev teams are just logical groupings of developers who are isolated. That is what the problem is. They don't think as a team. They don't think as players on a field with the same goal, to get the ball into the into the
trunk.
No, I know it's
the trunk.
No, that's like the very first thing that you need to fix. If you're an organization who's really struggling, is you need to look at how your teams are structured. Are your teams just assemblages of people who report to the same manager, or are they a group of people that have a shared goal? And are they feature teams or are they product teams? And if they're product teams, awesome. If they're feature teams, fix it. Because feature teams own nothing. Product teams own quality.
In our communities, as let's say continuous delivery gurus, that seems to be the most sort of penetrating message of continuous delivery is how you go from feature factory to product leadership. Essentially, is that we need to get like that administrative dysfunction is what we need to solve, not the design of the code, not the architecture of it. I mean, as well, but
if you make teams aware of what good looks like, and you have teams that have real quality, who have real ownership, right? And they are teams with a shared goal, they will create quality. Right? They will migrate to good, because nobody wants to go, well, that's what good looks like. We're over here, but it's fine. I've never met a team like that.
That only comes up in teams that never experienced a high-performing environment or a high-quality environment or a high-quality delivery process.
A quality environment, actually, not necessarily high quality. People don't think about quality; they just think about getting done what's inside the ticket. That's the quality for them, but they don't have an overarching quality idea that this acceptance criteria is just for that ticket.
Yeah. So if you've worked with team, if you've worked on a team that actually works as a team, and you've worked in a workflow where it's low drama, high trust, that sort of thing, and you go to a team that isn't, you're going to be incredibly dissatisfied, and you'll have one of two responses. In most cases, you'll quit, or you'll start pushing to make things better until you quit, or they decide to make things better.
Some of my clients are actively, once you get them to do this in a high trust environment, following XP practices, continuous delivery, even agentic coding, using the tools you mentioned today, they actively want to fish and filter companies that don't work like this. I see a bunch of engineers grow into this quality, and then it's like there's a point of no return. They actively don't want to work in an organization that has any kind of resemblance to a feature factory.
Well, it's like, for years and years and years, I've gone to work, and the way that we go to work is I walk in the door, and then they take a sledgehammer and they bash my foot with it. They go get your work done. And then I worked for a company that didn't do that. It was amazing. And what am I going to interview for? That they don't bash my foot with a sledgehammer every morning, right? And it's the same thing. When your life becomes less painful, you will not willingly join another organization where it's painful.
Yeah.
Right? I guarantee you that when I was interviewing for a new position, I was interviewing the companies harder than they were interviewing me.
We have that very often when team leads and tech leads, or especially tech leads, are worried about people leaving in several months, like, oh, they are not satisfied, and we have these questionnaires and these kind of things. That's very common. And the point is that actually no one is really doing something about the working culture. It's not about the team thing. There's no team spirit. There's no culture. And everyone is just, what can we do to keep them with the company? But we don't want to change the company. Just keep them somehow with the problems we have. So there is no sense of, it's not always about a little bit more salary. That's not always the main driver for people. And this is the simple misunderstanding of the human condition is a big issue, because there is no human condition thinking. People, especially in managers, think in systems, top down. They don't really think about the human in the system, and that the human will see the system as a human. and he looks for other humans, but the other humans are stressed with their own issues, so they don't really do something.
There's a framework I heard about once. I think it's perfect for companies like that, so that they can have all of the enterprise transformation without that risk of culture change.
I feel like it's I feel like it's a ZMF joke.
Yeah, I mean, so there's the Scale Agile DevOps Maturity Framework, so they can have all of that enterprise transformation and claim wins and make sure the consultants get paid and don't have to worry about that culture change.
The consultants actually lead the teams. That's very important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we gotta eat too. Ryan has a great. So Adrian, Bryan can't see our private chat, so you need to go in like 10 minutes. You want to wrap in like 10 minutes ish?
It's actually in 3 minutes now.
Okay. And we have a comment from Ryan. 2 comments from Ryan. And you have we have a list to go through. So I figured that would be a good time to call out and maybe make a decision.
Make a decision for what?
What are we doing? Are we doing Ryan's comment? Are we saying goodbye? Are we doing your list?
Let's go for his comment. Planning he meant that it seems to me that we can actually turn on the chat.
Yeah, Ryan said, it seems to me there are different types of planning I do in a conventional quarter. For sprint planning, where we fight over story point, is very different from the type of planning I do when I'm going back and forth with AI on how to do a task.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the question is, Brian.
It wasn't a question. It was just a comment.
Okay.
It was when we were talking about how we do the task is more important than the design.
Well, I mean, if you're planning for, because, planning out the quarterly roadmap, how are we doing so far on our goals? And does the current roadmap align? And what adjustments do we need to make to the roadmap for the next quarter based off of customer goals and business goals and operational goals and all these things, right? So, what are the trade-offs we're making? How, what are we? And so you got that quarterly planning thing, and it's very high level. And hopefully you're not making all these long-term commitments. We're going to deliver exactly this quarter, because that means you have go take PMI training. They'll even tell you not to do that with a waterfall project plan. And then you get down to, okay, so we're going to break this up into increments. And I hate sprints so much. I'd rather just have a finely, more, things getting more finely refined in the roadmap as we go. But let's just assume we're using sprints, because why not? And so you've got, okay, well, here's all this stuff that we're trying to get done. Here's the highest priority list of features coming from quarterly planning. What's the highest feature in that high priority list of features? Okay, let's start breaking that down. Is this too much work for the sprint? Okay, let's break it down some more. Until you get we got about enough to go and that probably fit a sprint. Now let's start breaking down the most important one of those things into finely grained details of how we're going to test it. We can use AI to help brainstorm all along that entire flow.
Ryan has another comment. It says, Denis and Bryan were talking about the 2 extremes of under planning versus over planning. I think it's because people are doing different types of planning. Recalling our conversation just a moments ago, Bryan, I think what we touched on was more this idea of you're breaking things down. So you're slicing it, from, let's say today is Wednesday. We're breaking things down. So Friday to today backwards becomes more granular so that we can see where we're going. And the sort of anti-pattern waterfall thinking is, okay, talking about Friday makes no sense. Let's talk about 3 months from now, and let's slice up the journey between now and 3 months from now into the same granularity of increment, which is where I think people most often get the sort of incrementation process.
Yeah, that's another safe thing I see all the time. I think one of the most insane things I saw was a team planning out their PI, and their PI was based around a quarter. And they were planning out, it wasn't even a team, it was an area PI planning meeting, right?
PI, and product increment, for those not in the...
production increment.
Production increment, sorry.
And the teams were having to commit to what stories would be delivered in what sprint for the next quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the most insane song and dance fantasy nonsense I've ever seen in my life. And they were even story pointing for stories that were going to be delivered in 3 months. And I'm just, it's so much wasted time that could have been spent actually trying to deliver something.
Yeah.
Instead of pretending what we might possibly deliver and then beating up the teams for not meeting their commitment that you asked them to do because you're too stupid to understand how this works.
I need to use a lot of tricks to get people to see this. And what worked the most from my practice when I'm working with leaders who are running these meetings is just to show them, look, like this meeting cost us 10% or 20% of the delivery, right? If the meeting is that expensive, the speed increase the meeting provides needs to be bigger than what the meeting took, and when I
and I'm talking about a meeting in this case where it's like you've got a senior director, a whole bunch of senior managers, you've got a couple hundred developers, you've got release training engineers, and for 2 days.
And they're not even in agreement. There's negotiations happening on the spot. And
why aren't you confident?
What would I need to lie about so that you become confident? And
exactly.
How do we make it a 3?
Notebook just making notes about, because my team was supposed to engage with one of those teams, and I was looking at this going, oh my god.
I actually need to go, sorry. Or actually need to wrap up.
Because
if I go, Bryan goes as well. He is pretty much
on your computer. Yes.
He's on my computer. He's basically my LLM is generating him.
You have a digital twin.
And I share the output. This is my new Bryan LLM. That's cool, isn't it? So I don't know if Bryan is actually knowing about that.
Bryan.
That's okay, because I've got a whole bunch of, I need to go through AI and a piece of old code to see how badly it's tested, so we can upgrade the tests real quick later this week.
Real quick bingo round, mutation testing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is that something that you're now more fond of with AI?
So I'll tell you that my very first, I was really struggling a couple of years ago using Striker on a relatively mature React application, and it was taking 4 hours for the initial.
That was the same complaint I heard about mutation testing. Is that Striker especially, it just takes forever.
Right.
Wasn't Paul saying great?
I ran Striker.net on a .NET service, and it took not very much time at all. A few minutes. And found a whole bunch of gaps, and we fixed those, and then reran the agents, and it found some more gaps, and we fixed those. And here's the thing also, it's like your first pass on anything is probably inaccurate. Run a few passes, aggregate results, right? They're just as non-deterministic as humans, people, so average the results. It'll be good enough. Honestly, it'll be good enough.
Okay. Well, more on that later, and hopefully we can have a mutation testing and SADMF conversation sometime soon. Thank you. Thank you so much, Bryan. Thank you for taking time out of your morning to meet up with us, despite the huge time zone difference.
No worries. It's my lunchtime, so it's good.
All right. Adrian, you good to wrap?
Yes. Good. Thanks a lot for sorry for the inconveniences today, right? But it was still a good one again, and really looking forward for the next one, of course, in some weeks or something like that. I only can recommend to take a look into the work of Bryan in minimumcd, and as he said, if you want to contribute, just do it. It's possible. It's an open source project. And I think it's worth doing it. I should do it from time to time as well, I think.
And also, I'm not the only maintainer. I'm just the most vocal one, and the one that has had more time recently.
And special thanks to Ryan and Ryan mostly drove a lot of the comment section today, and along with Alex Jukes from over on Substack before we crashed. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Good.
Thanks, everybody.
Then I turn off the stream.